After a months-long absence, baseball was back, a surreal, silent return. Fans packed their couches and living rooms to watch games in empty stadiums. The world was in full swing lockdown, and so was baseball. Cleveland fans tuned in to watch their ace, Shane Bieber, take the mound. He pitched an incredible game, going 6 innings, striking out 14 batters, and allowing 0 runs. A performance so good it felt impossible to follow up. Yet that impossible performance was just the beginning of what might be the single greatest pitching season in baseball history. 6 days later in Minnesota, Bieber pitched his second game of the year. Once again, he was completely untouchable. 8 innings, 14 strikeouts, 3 total base runners, 0 runs. With back-to-back masterpieces, the hot streak began, and it wouldn't end. In just 77.1 innings, Bieber led the league with a WAR of 3.2. Let's put that into perspective. In 2020, Bieber was fourth in innings pitched in MLB. In 2024, a player fourth in innings pitched 200 innings. So let's say Bieber pitched a full season of 200 innings, and he keeps the same WAR per innings rate. Then Bieber would have ended the season with a WAR of 8.3, which is 1.9 more WAR than Screwball's league-leading number in 2024. He led the league with a microscopic 1.63 ERA. He led in strikeouts of 122. His strikeout per nine rate was an insane 14.2, and his hits per nine was a staggeringly low 5.4. Essentially, Bieber turned every batter he faced into a strikeout victim or a pop-up. He was utterly dominant in every sense of the word. On August 15th, Bieber once again put on a clinic, striking out 11 batters over 7 innings. In that game, he struck out over 44% of the batters he faced. That number isn't far off from his actual strikeout rate for the season, which was a ridiculous 41.4%. That's the highest strikeout rate for a qualified pitcher in MLB history. But the records don't stop there. His ERA minus of 37 is tied for the fourth lowest ever. For those who don't know, ERA minus is a stat that measures how far above or below league average a pitcher is, with a lower number being better. An ERA minus of 37 is like being 63% better than the average pitcher. He also held opponents to the fourth lowest batting average in modern history. And finally, the most telling stat of all, his left on base percentage. Bieber shredded 91.1% of all base runners. That's the highest rate in modern history for a qualified pitcher. Just to put that into perspective, the highest left on base rate in 2024 was 83.6% from Ronel Blanco, which is around 7% lower than Bieber's number. He rarely allowed runners, and when he did, the chance they scored was practically zero. So how did he do this? What was his secret? Bieber's final pitch of 2020 was a knuckle curve that Jose Abreu swung and missed on. This was a very fitting end to the season for him. Why? Because Shane Bieber's curveball was the most valuable curveball of 2020. But before we get to that, let's take a look at that Baseball Savant page. Bieber's specialty was obviously avoiding barrels and getting swings and misses. We know this because Bieber is in the mid to high 90s in whiff rate, chase rate, and K rate, though Bieber did struggle slightly with avoiding getting hit hard. So let's take a look at the pitches Bieber used to get these results. Bieber threw the fastball and knuckle curve the most, while also mixing in a cutter, slider, and changeup. Bieber's fastball was very good that year. It wasn't that fast, but it definitely had great rising movement looking at these graphs. But I am most interested in his curveball. This is a list of the most valuable curveballs in 2020, and at the top of this list, Shane Bieber, tied with Adam Wainwright that year, with an 11 run value on his second most used pitch. But Bieber's curveball had more run value per 100 pitches than Wainwright's, thus making it more valuable. But this pitch is also associated with more impressive stats. Bieber often uses curveball to finish off ABs. This is why it had the third highest K rate of any pitch that year. His curve also had the 10th highest whiff rate, 10th lowest expected batting average, and 7th lowest expected slug, and was the 8th most valuable pitch in 2020 overall. It was incredible and it dominated batters with ease. It was the centerpiece of his greatness, a pitch that left batters utterly helpless. Bieber took home Cy Young after the season and was ready to lead his Indians into the wild card against the Yankees. He was ready for a big playoff start, but remember, he pitches for Cleveland, and Cleveland never wins, unless of course your name is LeBron. And unfortunately for Bieber, this prophecy would stay true.
It's gone! Is 4 pitches into the ballgame.
Bieber gets shelled by the Yankees, giving up 7 runs in 4.2 innings. But Bieber also struck out 7 batters, an impressive feat for pitching so little innings. But with that start, Bieber's work for 2020 was done. Since 2020, Bieber has still been a great pitcher, even putting himself back in the Cy Young conversation in 2022. But he has struggled with injuries in recent years and hasn't put together a full season since. But he has recently become the most important Bieber in Canada, as he was traded to the Blue Jays, a contending ball club leading their division. He has a chance to make his legacy and become a World Series champion. Yet, he might already have his legacy ingrained. You see, we already mentioned the impressive feats Bieber pulled off, but let me also remind you, he struck out at least 8 batters in every regular season start in 2020. He was dominant, but was he the best ever? Short answer, no. Bieber pitched only 72 innings, nowhere close to Pedro's 217 and Bob Gibson's 304. Bieber was great, but Gibson had an even lower ERA and way more innings. So why do we even talk about it? Because it points out the weird, strange truth about the 2020 season. It was an anomaly, a crazy year in a crazy world, and it creates crazy statistics that will live forever in the record books. So when you're looking at baseball stats, just remember, 2020 is a complete outlier, but still feel free to enjoy how wonderfully weird it was.